Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG 55. I got the one and only Candid Camper in the house today. We're talking all about third park potential. We're going to speculate as to what we might see over there for the eventuality of a third park at the Disneyland Resort. We're also going to talk about this WB Warner Brothers situation. Will Comcast pick it up? Will it be Paramount? Will it be Netflix? We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. Up next, we got Candid Camper in the house on OG 50. Oh. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another fine episode of OG 55. I got Candid Camper back with me today, talking shop. How you doing, Candid?
Doing all right. How you doing, OG?
Doing really good, man. Just ready to nerd out with you. I love these kind of topics about the future of the resort. This is like some of my favorite shit to dive into.
Same. Yeah, for sure. You never know. And I want to be the guy that says it now and then it happens 10 years down the line. And the best part is that I say something and everyone down below in the comments leaves, some very choice words for me. Then it's always like, told you so.
Told you so. Hey, it's always good to have those receipts. I've had that happen to me before where I'll say something and then like later down the road, it happens. It's like, all right, see, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But Candy, where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Yeah, definitely. You can find me the Candid Camper over on YouTube, the Candid Camper Theme Park Thoughts over on TikTok, also the Candid Camper on TikTok, and Candid Camper's Theme Park Thoughts on YouTube.
There he is. Make sure you follow this man on all platforms. Okay, Candy, let's talk about this, man. So we have the Toy Story parking lot, which, you could roughly get a 75 to 80 acre, theme park over there in that spot. Likely going to be a theme park. It's already allocated by the city. It's already zoned for theme park stuff. I know that, the Disneyland Forward stuff had a mall there. I don't know. I mean, and a lot of fans are kind of latching on to the mall thing. I personally don't buy that. I think Disney doesn't like to show its hand early. They were also trying to get something from the city. So to show your hand and say, yeah, it's gonna be a third park for sure. You don't want to spook, the council. You don't want to spook the neighbors. It's gonna be a park, but I think they kind of wanted to play it kind of low key, but hey, it could be wrong. It might become a Disney Springs, you know what I'm saying? But who knows? But with this current retail environment, I kind of doubt it. But what are your thoughts on the third park, Canada? What do you think, man? I mean, what could we potentially see there? What's your vibe? Or maybe you think it will be a mall. What's your vibe?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a mall. I think there's only a few malls, even in California, that are surviving, and usually those malls are in very high-end areas and neighborhoods, not near downtown by Disneyland. And you see it yourself. You have Garden Walk right there, which had upgrades, has a lot of different stores being put in there, but it's completely dead.
Right.
So why would you risk using the only space that you have left to make another mall? And then on top of that, too, downtown Disney. I walked up and down there a couple months ago, and it was it was crowded, but nothing like it used to be. And most of the shops in there are stuff that like you're not going to go there to just go to that place. You know, what I mean, you're not going to walk there just to shop around. And like it's almost those kind of things where you're walking and you're like, I'll go in there and check it out, but you're not really leaving with things. Um,
Well,
so
and
I,
then
I
you
don't
also
see that
have,
being good.
and real quick, I'll let you finish real quick though. But also, you have Garden Walk, but then they're also building the OC Vibe, which is
Yeah,
another kind
exactly.
of shopping, dining, entertainment district. And then you're going to have another shopping, dining district over here with Disney Springs West or whatever. It just seems like overkill. I feel like a third park would kind of complement the OC Vibe better than having just more shopping dumped in there. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I think we actually need less shops downtown. I think their biggest money makers are these restaurants, and
Yeah.
having these people come in and spend the money to stay there. Look at Earl's Sandwich. I mean, they went through like their fiftieth different locations, but they're not leaving because they see some potential there. And Disney obviously wants to keep them around, but those places like that where it's food and drinks, those matter. But when you start getting these weird like I'm gonna say anime shops. I know you guys like your anime out there, But when you go into these weird anime shops like they have down in Garden Walk, and it's $100 just for like the smallest toy, it makes you wonder how they're keeping their business going. And I just don't see that being the reason why I'm going to Disneyland. Is I'm not going to go. I don't want to go shopping. Like if I want to go shopping, I'm going to World of Disney, or I'm going to get myself a coffee at Starbucks and some food if I'm already outside the park, and that's it.
Right. No, I agree with you, and I think that look, there's a place for some of this stuff, like you were saying, World of Disney. You got the Starbucks. You even have things like Trader Sam's. Those themed bars
Awesome,
um,
love it.
are awesome. Those are amazing. But how many of those can you possibly do? I
Oh,
mean, you know,
look at
I
Disney
mean,
World though.
well, that's true. That's true. That's true. But it's just like, 75 acres, man. I mean, you're never going to get that again in Anaheim, all in one spot. Look, if they want to do more shopping down the road, you can find 10 acres, 15 acres. You can cobble that together. You can buy a couple hotels and get that done. But to waste that Toy Story parking lot on shopping just seems really foolish, especially when you have all this other shopping and all this other stuff across the street. But in terms of
I
the
agree.
park, you know, like, because we're looking probably 10, 15 years from now, you know? But I will say this, have you heard, Candid, that the city of Anaheim wants to build a skyway connecting all these landmarks? Did you hear about that?
Yeah,
News?
yeah, I read about that. I think that's great. I love that idea. It gets people to travel around and not be stuck in one spot. There's times now that being not a local but being a California native, um, you kind of just go to Disneyland and you're like, well, I'm stuck here because either A, trying to find parking again, or B, worrying about not really knowing where to go and having to deal with traffic. And then also the bad parts of town. It's not the most beautiful area when you get out of like off Catella. So having somewhere where I can just jump on and just go to these designated spaces where I can do whatever I need to do, I think that's going to be awesome. It's going to bring a lot more people around too.
Yeah, and I feel like the city of Anaheim is sort of telling on themselves a little bit with that move. I feel like they kind of know the battle plan. Like
Yeah.
they know what's coming, they know it's a park, and so they're kind of setting up the infrastructure for that eventuality, which is amazing. But I've talked a lot about it on the channel here. Westcott, that's my boy. I love Westcott. Eisner never should have killed that. I think that was a brilliant concept. Do you think that that's a possibility, or do you feel like that's more of a fanboy dream?
That's a tough one. I mean, the city wants to make money, right?
Yeah.
So getting people to away from Disney is also getting people away from spending all their money at Disney can also be a strategy to help the city in a way. But that means that the city needs to build something which they're going to do. So it actually kind of makes sense, and I think it will probably happen.
Westcott?
Oh, sorry, I totally spaced on that. I thought you were still talking about the tram.
No, no, no.
I'm like,
Oh,
my bad.
Westcott.
Westcott, yeah, I think that's a dream, and I think it's your dream.
It,
Um,
it is my dream. Yeah.
yeah, no,
Well,
I totally think we should do that.
yeah. No, I love the concept of Westcott. I think that though, here's the thing. I think if Disney had the balls to do it, I think it would be successful, but it wouldn't be the same Westcott that they proposed in like the mid 90s, right? Obviously, even Epcot has changed a lot in the last, 20, 25 years. They've introduced a lot more um IP into that park with like Frozen and Ratatouille and Guardians of the Galaxy. So any kind of Westcott that hypothetically they would build out here in California, we would have the continents or various countries, right? But they would incorporate inevitably all of this IP. So Asia would have Raya the Last Dragon and Mulan and Big Hero 6. And then, like Europe would have obviously like Tangled and Cinderella and Little Mermaid and all those fairy tales. So I think they would do it that way. But here's the thing though, and I agree with you mostly in that I think Westcott is something that like the fans really want, but I don't know how realistic it would be. But if Disney were to have the balls to do it, I think it would be really successful out here because we have a big locals fan base.
Hmm.
We have a lot of Magic Key holders, and that drink around the world stuff, man, would be a
Yep. Yep.
massive hit, with the locals, But I don't know. I don't know. But what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we this has been like a topic for us for years now, and it seems like it's almost like we're getting closer to getting something, but it's like on the tip of everybody's tongue, and it's going to be 15 years on the tip of everybody's tongue still. But I will not let it go, and I think we should both die on that hill of getting a Westcott because I'm on board too, and I think it's actually a really smart choice because you can still use your IPs. You can utilize the food industry that is so big in California, and the
That's a good point.
drinking, and you can keep the drinking into one park too, which is nice. Like you don't have to start rolling out more bars into Disneyland. And I actually posted something over on my page about that. Like, do you want to see more bars in Disneyland? And I actually got most of the comments. People actually did want more bars, but they have to be theme bars. It can't just be you walking up and going and grabbing a beer and walking around, kind of like DCA. They want to have an actual place to go, and I think that makes it and keeps it like almost sacred still at Disneyland. But going back to Westcott, I think you're correct, man. Just having around the world, around the continents, is the key and the big way to do it. I wouldn't probably put Raya in there because I don't think that's my favorite IP ever. But I think
I
they can
feel
get really down to it, and you sprinkle these IPs in. You don't create everything around them. I think you need to create the continent, and then the just like Epcot did. It's the parts of the world, and then the IP, not the other way
yes,
around.
100%. You want to have you want to have it respectful of the continent or the various countries, and you want to have these IPs kind of sprinkled in like a respectful way. I think that's great.
It,
I think Epcot's
yeah,
handling it really well.
I
Do
agree.
it that way, but you don't want to go like, full bore IP, like obnoxious. Like you want to have it just kind of in there.
Yep. And the cool thing is that this is Disney's like big chance to give themselves a huge water show and actually do it right. Like utilize the center of this and make a massive water show that you can see from 360 around, and it'll be a spectacular show. And I think that's what most of these parks are missing. Like we have these Disney has little shows, they have the projection, but they don't have enough room to do something on a grand scale. Even World of Color, when it works, like it's still not huge compared to what you can get at like a Westcott.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They could do a lot over there at that park. Now, if it's not Westcott, if they don't go with the Westcott concept, what other concept? Because we talked privately, you were thinking maybe like Fox, and I know our good friend Hey Bricky has mentioned that on some of his
Mhm.
videos where Fox would be a good IP to sort of pull from because Fox is completely different than what we have at DCA or Disneyland. Could you see that realistically showing up in a third park?
I do, but I also don't think it's gonna be it can't be just Fox. So it has to be cohesive. It has to work with what Disney owns. So
Mhm.
it has to be somewhat Disney. It has to be Fox. And I can't. I sit here sometimes and really wonder what Fox IP can work at the same time as all these other things. And then you go back and you're like, well, they're putting fucking Avatar in the middle of like DCA, and you're like, I guess it works for some way. So it really boggles your mind. So you can do whatever the fuck you want to do, I guess, and it's okay now.
Well, I guess it's okay. I mean, I would be very curious to see how like a Planet of the Apes kind of theme
Man, that'd be
park
cool.
environment, that would be sick. And that could be a little edgier, something that you wouldn't be able to do like at a Disneyland, and maybe even you
Yeah.
really couldn't even do that in a DCA. Maybe you go in a really adult direction for this third park. But you can do Planet of the Apes, you can do like, Alien or Predator, stuff like that.
So do you
Um,
think going darker in the third park is better
well, I think that
or
you
more
either have
adult?
Well, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea because I think that you do need to separate. You need to justify the third park's existence somehow. So it has
Mhm.
to be distinctively different than the other two. So either you go darker or you do like the Westcott, like World Showcase thing, which is very different. But there has to be something there that you're like, okay, that's why that park. Because actually, Florida's parks, the Disney World parks are actually really good at this. Like Epcot's
Mhm.
very different than Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios is very different than Animal Kingdom and what have you. So Disneyland Resort would need that third park to really stand on its own as a separate entity. You can't just do like a DCA 2.0, so to speak. But what do you think? I mean, for me, I don't necessarily need it to go darker, but I need it to be very different than what we currently have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and see, then that's where I come back and forth on. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing more villains. Even I know we're getting villains over on the other side, but I still think we need some kind of something. like that. But then also that puts you back into a castle park technically again, and I don't think that's the intention. So I think you're right, going Fox and maybe going with Planet of the Apes, but also we have so much more Marvel. Like we have X-Men that we acquired, or Disney acquired, that they can put in there.
True.
Um, what else is there? I mean, I can't even think of another IP that Ice Age. Ice Age is huge still. The kids love Ice Age. But
Yeah.
what do you do with Ice Age? Is Ice Age aging well? I don't know if it is. I mean, I feel like it's kind of being put on the back burner. You have Simpsons, but I mean, I feel like we've already seen Simpsons at other parks and it's decent. What more can Disney do to make Simpsons? So
Yeah. The
I'm not
only
sure.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's a tough one. It's a challenge. Simpsons, if Disney needs to use the Simpsons in a Disney park, the route I would go, you don't just rebuild Springfield because Universal already did that, you know?
Mhm. Yep.
I think you go in a different direction. A lot of the Disney Plus Simpsons stuff that they've released since they bought Fox has been very meta, like self-aware, like Disney owns us and we're gonna have Maggie dressed like Darth Vader. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, yep, yep.
It's like that vibe. I would kind of go that vibe with any kind of Simpsons attraction or land. Maybe do like the Great Simpsons movie ride where there's various iconic scenes from various movies, but it's the Simpsons characters kind of telling those stories. So
That'd be
you'd have
cool.
right, you'd have like Homer holding up Maggie, like the Lion King and things like
Yep,
that. I would go in a creative kind of fun way like that. You do not recreate Springfield. Universal did it already. That would be the worst decision they can
I
possibly
agree.
do.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
really like that idea of the great movie ride being Simpsons. I think that's really solid. Another one that they could have done, but they really shit the bed was the Narnia, like the Chronicles of Narnia. I think they really shit the bed, and unless they can somehow reboot again and try a different way, because those books were really popular, and um, I just think acquiring Fox wasn't. Still to this day, I feel like they needed it for some IPs, but taking everything on, I just don't think it's really working out for them, or they're not utilizing as much as they can. But
Well,
a whole 70 plus acres though for just Fox, I don't think that can work.
no, you'd have to mix it, and you have to be part of the mix would be really cool, but a whole Fox Park, and I don't know how. Here's the other thing too, as its own brand, does Fox really have the the buying power, so to speak, like the selling power, like where people are like, "Wow, I really need to go to a park based on Fox." Like Fox doesn't really have like that branding. Warner
Unless you're
Brothers,
older,
unless you're older, yeah.
like you
I
have
mean,
what like you said, Aliens, Predator, but that's kind of Alvin and Chipmunks. Like what else we need? Like there's nothing new.
Ye there yeah, you would have to yeah, exactly. You couldn't lean on the Fox branding too much because there are certain brands you can do that, like Pixar is a great brand. You can do that. You can lean on
Yep.
Pixar, you know, there's certain things you can do, but that would be a tough one, a tough sell. I don't know. We'll kinda see how it shakes out, but I mean, they could do Westcott, they could do a Fox park or a Fox kind of darker park. Um, I'm trying to think what else they can really do. I mean, they could do like a Disney style like Epic Universe, but I feel like that's kind of going into like a little bit of like DCA mode a little bit where it's like these
Yeah.
just random IPs thrown in, right?
Yeah. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you like the idea of I think we talked about this before, but multiple mini lands like they're kind of doing overseas? Or do you like having one land like Fantasyland with multiple IPs within it?
I
Like
like
all
I
all cohesive.
Yeah, I think it's case by case, but I think that I think it's probably based on our situation out here in California and how limited we are with space. I think it's best to kind of do like a broad theme and have multiple IPs in that one theme.
I
So you
agree with
have
that.
like a Fantasyland, you got like 6 or 7 different movies in there, you know? Or like if we do Westcott, you have Asia with like 2 or 3 Asian IPs in there, right? So you kind of mix them in because I think when you're limited on space and you're going to dedicate 10, 12 acres on just one thing. I think that was really trendy when Wizarding World opened because it worked so
Yeah.
well for Universal, but I think that's kind of falling out of favor right now in the industry. I think they're kind of going back, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, and Disney World did a great job at the new Fantasyland area,
yeah.
where they still made it seem themed, but it was like a really small patch of a big portion of land. Like Snow White had her own little area. What was her name? Beauty and the Beast. Like like all that stuff worked really, really well in that area, and you didn't feel like you felt like you're immersed for that 5-minute walkthrough, and then you're in the next place, but you never felt like you're cutting, like you didn't feel the cut of the seam. You know what I mean? Like you just walked in, and you're like it flowed so perfectly, and I think that's a perfect way to tell a story too.
Yeah. No, well said, well said. So we'll kind of see before we move on to Warner Brothers, because I really want to dive into this,
Yeah.
and pick your brain on that. When realistically do you think we're going to see the third part? Because DCA still needs some work, right? DCA still doesn't really. I love DCA and I've always loved DCA, but and actually is doing pretty good on the attendance. I was talking to Jared from Capture the Magic the other day on a video where it's like DCA is holding its own, it really is. But I mean, it still needs work, and it's hard because it's constantly compared to the GOAT, which is Disneyland.
Yep.
But obviously, I feel like they need to really kind of plus that park first before they move into the third gate. Is that kind of where your mindset's at too?
Yeah, I think we won't actually hear anything about it until 2030. And even that would just be like, that weird ass concept art we get with the fake ass people that are like
Yeah.
blobs. And then then they'll release the start of Tomorrowland, I think 2030. And then that will be the big one. And then we'll probably get 2035 when we start seeing ground break or even rumors of talking about breaking ground.
Yeah, yeah, very interesting. I can't wait for that. I can't wait. I love all this kind of stuff like third park stuff, Eastern Gateway, all that infrastructure. It's nerdy shit, but
Uh,
it's really
so let me
fun.
ask you let me ask you this. The Eastern Gateway, if that would have started when it did,
Yeah.
would we be further along, and do you think that this third gate would have been talked about a lot more?
I think so. I think so because that's a big piece in this whole puzzle. You know what I'm saying? That
Mhm.
that 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 Eastern Gateway, we need that in order for DCA to start expanding into the Simba parking lot and even to do Avatar in the Hollywood area. We need that Eastern Gateway. So I think we would be further along, yeah.
And
But
on top of that, though, like I do, and me personally, I think it was kind of a blessing that some stuff didn't work out because when I heard that they had to put that hotel out there, the
oh
giant
yeah.
one on the other side, I just thought like, wow, you're wasting so much space. I don't. There's so many hotels around, neighborhood hotels, and they all cost a shitload of money. Then you want me to stay in this one hotel that's going to cost you more? I'm never going to stay there. And then on top of that, you're making half at DVC anyways, so it doesn't make sense to me. And I think it was just would have been a waste of land and space.
No, well, it was yeah, well, it was interesting. And for those of you that are not aware, Disney wanted to build where the AMC used to be. Well, right now it's Din Tai Fung and that little grassy area. That Din Tai Fung, that little grassy area, and the Parkside Market, that whole side, the ESPN zone, and the Rainforest Cafe was going to actually be a new a fourth hotel, a fourth Disney hotel, and they scrapped it for tax reasons because City of Anaheim and
Mhm.
Disney couldn't come to terms with whatever tax thing they wanted, which is fine. But you're right, it was a blessing because it also would have been a weird location. Like it's too
Yeah,
close to the other hotel.
it felt like it was like smushed on you, and you would have walked up and it would have been right on your ass. Right when you hit that little turn, it would have been like, what the fuck? Why is this here? And it just wouldn't have felt right. And that would also created a like the it would have enclosed you, you know what I mean? It would have created the like this is the ending of Disneyland property, even though
Yeah.
there was way more on the other side. And I don't like that idea.
No, me too. I'm glad sometimes things work out, silver lining, so to speak, and that was
Mhm.
definitely a silver lining. Overall, I like what they've done with Downtown Disney. There's a few things that are kind of weird. They're going for this mid-century thing, which is perfect. I mean, Disneyland opened in 1955. Obviously, it makes sense to lean into that mid-century era. But then you plop down like Din Tai Fung with the very like, Chinese rooftop and stuff. I'm like, well, what happened to the mid-century stuff? It kind of that feels kind of like hodgepodge to me. I mean, it's
Mhm.
a cool building. It's dope as hell. I mean, it looks really cool on its own, but it's like sitting right in between in the middle of all this
Yep.
mid-century stuff. So I
Yep.
feel like Din Tai Fung kind of like, moved, threw their weight around a little bit. Like, hey, you know
Yeah.
what? We're gonna build this building the way we want, and
Is it
I think it's
popular?
oh massively. Yeah,
Okay.
massively.
So
It's
yeah, they
very
can do what
hard
they
to get
want.
into. They can do what they want. Yeah. And I actually went to the one shit, I don't remember where that I never been to the one at Disney, but I went to the one, I think it was like West Covina or something like that. I don't remember where it was at, but I went years ago. It's great food. It really is, but it just aesthetically that building fits kind of weird with everything
Mhm.
else. But now let's pivot a little bit because there's been a lot of news, Candid, about Warner Brothers. It's up for sale. There's a few suitors. We got Netflix, we got Comcast, Universal, we got Paramount. These are
Yeah.
the three biggies. What do you think, man? They've already rejected like two or three of Paramount's offers, so I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
But who are you kind of rooting for, and where do you stand with this whole thing?
As much as I hate them, and if you're listening out there, I fucking despise you, Comcast. And the only reason why I want Comcast is that means we have more opportunity to get more parks and more theming and stuff like that. I mean, we still haven't seen Lord of the Rings. Like, where the fuck is our Lord of the Rings going? Like, we need that
Right?
out here.
Come on
So
now.
I think Comcast is the way to go. Netflix, I think the Netflix era needs to end. Um, I feel like they just have too much content that's subpar, and it's just they used to have like A plus content, but it's going downhill. Um, I can only
Fair.
confidently say like the best, which works a lot with them, is HBO. Obviously, HBO is known to have some of the best content. So if there's some way that HBO and all them would get that contract, I think that would be their best way to go.
Yeah,
And then
I'm.
Paramount got no. They have Nickelodeon. That's it. Drake and
Yeah,
Josh.
yeah. I just. Yeah, I'm not. I'm rooting for Comcast Universal as well. I mean, obviously, I would love to see how they can incorporate those IP into their theme parks. Universal has shown they're really, really good at kind of fostering, number one, their theme parks, but even their movie studios. Like when they bought DreamWorks a few years ago, they've done a really good job with that studio. They've had a lot of
I agree.
DreamWorks has had a lot of hits, you know what I'm saying? I mean, even
Hmm.
Illumination. I mean, Illumination had the Minions, which were massive. I'm just not my cup of tea, but the kiddos love it. And Super Mario, which was a massive hit like 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
Universal has proven itself, and I think with that, with like just what they could do with the parks, I think would be worth it for me. Um, I mean, all that stuff. I mean, you would have access to Looney Tunes,
DC.
Animaniacs, all of DC. You would have access to like even like the Hanna Barbera stuff, is even like Scooby Doo and
Dude,
all that.
Simpson
I mean,
Scooby, man, yeah.
and here's the
Scooby
other
was
thing
yeah.
too, Candid. Universal has licensing deals with Warner Brothers for a lot of shit already, with
Yeah,
Harry Potter and even Scooby Doo. I was at Universal today, and Scooby Doo and Shaggy were walking around. So
loved it.
I love it too, and they could save money by owning WB. They wouldn't have to pay that licensing anymore. You know what I'm
Yep,
saying?
yep, and the thing is they don't wanna lose that licensing either because those are big characters, and getting DC is just gonna be massive, especially stealing it from Universal or not Universal,
Six
Six
Flags.
Flags. Yeah, which I don't know anything about that contract or not, but and I doubt they'll be able to start taking those IPs right away, but I feel like Six Flag has done nothing great with anything DC, and they keep retheming and renaming things the same name. There's one park that has two of the same names in it, or like two roller coasters have the same name. It's really weird. So
Well, they're the Six Flags is whack. I mean, honestly, they'll paint a coaster black and yellow and call it Batman.
yeah, exactly. Yep. You're like, what is
It's
this?
it's whack. It really is. But I mean, here's the thing: Six Flags. I mean, they're going through a real seismic shift, like internally and everything, and like
Yeah,
with that whole merger. So I think if there was any moment where Universal can kind of go in there and work
it's
on getting
now.
those rights, is now.
Hmm.
Our good friend Jared from Capture the Magic has been saying that. He's like, you know what? I think there's a deal that could be made there, and I agree with him. And can you imagine, Candid, a Gotham City on the same quality level as like a Wizarding World?
Dude, you know what? I will give it up to Magic Mountain, and I know Magic Mountain's like the god of Six Flags, so it has to be some of the best. Their DC area is actually pretty decent.
Okay.
Um, yeah, have you been to Magic Mountain?
Mm-mm.
No. Oh, okay.
Never.
So their DC section's pretty decent. Like they have some good theming. Their Riddler ride's great. Their Batman coaster, you can walk through like everything. There's some Joker stuff. So it's not bad. But that's the only park that I've been to that's Six Flags that actually tries. The one by my house over in Vallejo, it's 10 coasters and 10 different rides in an area, and like you said, it's just painted black and yellow. And there's these little penguin thing, like a penguin ride, and it's him in the middle, like that, and it's just called Penguin, and you're like, dude, this is so generic. um
Yeah.
and it's not doing anything. It's not helping the branding at all. And I think that's another thing. DC really needs to get rebranded, especially if we're gonna get more movies coming out that are from, a better director, if you know what I mean.
No, I feel you. I feel you. So I'm very curious, to see how this whole thing shakes out. A lot of people are nervous about the Netflix thing too, because, you know, they see Netflix as a streaming service, which it is. I mean, I think K-pop Demon Hunters is going to be in theaters. I mean, every now and then they dabble in that theatrical, but a lot of people are worried, like, you buy Warner Brothers, will Warner Brothers be fully utilized as a theatrical, arm of that company? Which I'll say this, to be fair to Netflix, I mean, Comcast was a cable company and they've done great things with Universal. So there is a
Mhm.
possibility Netflix could come in there and really kind of do the right thing. But there's also the possibility they get in there and Warner Brothers becomes a streaming studio basically. So it's a real risk. I feel Comcast is like a super safe, kind of like actually really exciting. It's safe, but it's exciting at the same time. Kind of
Yeah.
option. Like Comcast ain't gonna fuck that up. You know what I'm saying? Based
No.
on history. So
The only thing is though with Comcast is we've seen it with the Minions multiple time where they're just milk the shit out of an IP.
oh
And
yeah.
that's the only thing I'm nervous about. Like I don't want them to go in and like Scooby Doo has already gone through 80 different character or different like iterations of it. Then they made that HBO made that bullshit Velma movie or show that was fucking trash. So I don't want to see stuff like that. Like give us old school, bring it back to the original, and give us classic Scooby, give us classic stuff. I don't know. I just and the other thing too is Game of Thrones. Like that's
Oh yeah.
huge. Yeah, that's Warner Brothers, I believe.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. You could do a cool, because obviously Game of Thrones has some stuff in there which wouldn't be for families, like the tits and wine, all that stuff, right?
mhm,
But
mhm.
but you can leave, obviously you would leave that kind of stuff out and just have a really, really dope Game of Thrones, like, like land, a really cool attraction. Dude, that would be sick, man. I would love something like that, you know?
The cool thing is that those everything can be very easy to make like to put in there. So think like obviously you don't have a lot of room, but going from like Wizarding World and then the easy transition into Game of Thrones, like it would make sense. Things just can work out very well.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, the only thing that makes me nervous about Comcast is that it will become more of a monopoly. Not that it bothers me because that means the money is going to be put somewhere where it needs to go. But I don't think the people want this to happen because it would be make them too powerful. Like other studios around them, I think they just think Comcast is too powerful at this moment.
No, I agree with you. And I have we have friends at the channel that I've talked to, like like our good friend Jay Shear.
Mhm.
That was one of his concerns actually, was Comcast is so huge already. Now you're gonna throw in Warner Brothers in that mix. That's a massive company, you know? So and that also begs the question, what do they buy exactly? Because Warner Brothers is more than just the studio too. It's all kinds of like television and this and that. Like, I mean, would Comcast go in there and just buy the studio and the IP, which would be probably the smartest move if they were to do that, or are they going
Mhm.
to buy the whole kit and caboodle? If I was advising Comcast, not that they would ever fucking listen to me, but I would I would just buy the IP. I wouldn't mess with any of the
I
other
agree.
ancillary shit. The sports, you don't need any of the sports crap or any of that, you know?
No, most of the sports stuff's going streaming on bigger platforms anyways, and all these contracts are put out there. The thing is, what do you do with HBO? Because HBO sits on a lot of that stuff, and then you have Peacock on the other end of it. So do you double up on both, or like how's that work?
Yeah, that might be actually pretty attractive for Comcast because you can take HBO Max, which has been pretty successul, actually really
Mhm.
successful, and mix it with Peacock. Can we say that on YouTube, Peacock? No, just kidding.
Ah, right.
I don't know. Are we
This video gets
demonetized
taken down. Yeah.
for saying Peacock? Oh gosh, yeah, no, but well, I guess it's no worse than D plus, right? No, just kidding. I'm just
Mm,
kidding.
mm.
No, but in all seriousness, I think that that would be actually a pretty smart move to combine Peacock and HBO Max. I think that that's a power. Like they would instantly Comcast would instantly have one of the biggest streaming services in the
Yeah,
industry.
easily. But and that's the thing though, because I mean, this rebranding, the fucking dumb branding of Max, and
Oh,
then
dude.
people talking shit, and then they're like, "Oh, well, fuck, we'll turn it back," and then it's like there. But getting those rights to HBO and what's the other one? This. Discovery. I think is it
Ye-
Discovery?
ye-
They own or Nat
Yeah, but I
Geo.
think it's Discovery, and Nat Geo's Disney. But I think, if I'm not mistaken,
There you go.
Discovery is going to be spun off into its own thing. So I don't think they would get that.
Okay.
From what I understand, yeah,
God, I actually really enjoy Discovery. There's a lot of good stuff on there.
a lot of
But
reality stuff, right?
yeah, Naked and Afraid,
Yeah,
my
Naked and
jam.
Afraid. Yep.
But yeah, I think you're right with HBO. If they get that and they merge over, but that's what I was gonna ask you. Do you do it like where it's one of those where you keep it separate entities and then you make it like a bundle where you get Peacock and HBO for X amount, or you can buy one or the other, or do you actually blend them together and just call it Peacock?
That's tough. Maybe you give them the option. Maybe you do kind of like a Peacock HBO Max bundle, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean,
Mhm.
here's the thing. It's not like there's like Peacock isn't necessarily like just for families. Like Peacock has it's a pretty mixed bag with what they have, right? From what I understand.
Mhm.
And so is HBO Max. So I don't really see I can see them going either I can see them going in either direction because they can combine the two and it would probably be fine because I feel like Peacock and HBO Max kind of have the same demo anyway. It's
Yeah.
like everybody entertainment, or they can separate it. Well, I think for that, it would be more of a financial decision. They'd probably have to crunch the numbers and see what works better on the financials. I think creatively, it really wouldn't matter because I feel like they're kind of the same demo. Now Disney's a little bit tougher because Disney is such a family brand that a lot of
Yeah.
people have issues with it combining with things like Hulu and what have you because of the adult nature of a lot of the Hulu stuff. But I don't feel like Peacock and HBO have that issue. You know.
But who holds more weight though? I mean, do you think HBO keeps the name or do you think it just goes to Peacock because they already have that branding?
Yeah, I think HBO is a stronger brand, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
than
So do you
Peacock.
think they drop Peacock and just call it all HBO?
If
And then
they
it
were
won't
to
be Max anymore. It'll be HBO, like HBO. I don't know. I'm not gonna say it on here.
Yeah, I know, I
You know
know.
where I was going.
Exactly.
Oh fuck. So
You
do
gotta
I.
be careful with the Peacock, you know?
Yeah.
But but yeah, no, I feel you on that. That what would they call it? Because HBO and WB learned that the hard way when they dropped the HBO branding and just went Max.
Yep.
It didn't work for them. So they have to keep HBO, but what would they if they combine the two, what did they do with the Peacock end of it? So yeah, we'll kind of see. It's interesting. But this whole thing though, it's very fascinating to kind of watch the whole thing kind of shake out. Now, a lot of people were saying it was going to be Paramount, but they've already rejected like two or three of the Paramount offers. I mean, I kind of feel like Zaslav doesn't want Paramount. I was telling Seymour Duck this the other day. I kind of feel like WB wants Comcast to come in because they're kind of like making moves. Like Warner Brothers is spinning off some of their networks, and so is Comcast, right? Like I think like CNBC and MSNBC and all that shit is getting spun off of the Comcast side. So I feel like Comcast, Universal, and Warner Brothers, they're sort of like making these preemptive moves to kind of spin certain things off to make the merger a little bit more like give it a better chance with the regulatory stuff. But again, that's all speculation, but we'll see. I'm rooting for Comcast. I really hope they get it. Plus, also, Candid, a lot of those sound stages in Universal Studios Hollywood, you
Mm-hmm.
can bulldoze those and offload those and put them in the Warner lot across the street, and you
Easily.
can expand our Hollywood theme park even more. So there's a lot of
Yep.
potential even on the theme park side. So
And I think you're right. And the fact that you deny someone 3 times and it's probably more for more and more money, I just don't think that's a thing. And on top of that, too, like we have Transformers and other things in the Universal parks already too. So it's kind of like I don't know. I feel like Universal gets what they want in general from whoever they need it from, as
yeah.
long as Disney's not in the mix. And that's the other side of this. Disney's not in the mix in all this.
Mm-mm.
And if
That's
they
good.
were, if they were, that's your potential third gate. And what do you do about Harry Potter? You make them pay the fuck out of having wanting to keep it
Yeah.
because that's the smartest move. You pay $20 billion to acquire this, and then you charge the shit out of Universal for keeping Harry Potter
Oh yeah,
and
you could
everything
you
else.
could play ball. You could play
Yep.
hardball with that for sure. I don't think Disney's gonna put their hat in the ring for this one just because I feel like they're kind of acquisitioned out a little bit. They've bought a lot of stuff over the years.
Yeah, I
And I
agree.
think I think if anything, they're going to go leaner. But the other thing too, the elephant in the room is they're in the middle of a CEO change.
Mhm.
So that's a big decision to make in the middle of this transition that they're kind of going through. So yeah, I don't think Disney's going to make that move, but yeah, that would be crazy though. That would really because it's already complicated with Disney and Universal with like the Marvel rights for theme parks and even Simpsons. The owning WB would make it even more messy, you know.
Yeah. Yep,
So
and at what point is that contract done? Do you know?
that one, the Marvel one's
Marvel.
never. The Marvel
Oh, it's
one's
forever.
never done. It's forever. Yeah, until they can grab it from them, write them a check. It's forever because like Marvel and Universal, they made that deal when Marvel was like really struggling, and Marvel was like kind of hoeing itself out. Like it was like making deals with everybody. That's why there's all these issues with like Sony has Spider-Man and Universal has the theme park rights because Marvel was really going through it and how to work out all these deals. And then Disney bought them and they've gotten better. And now they have to untie that giant knot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, dude, if Disney got Warner though, that would be a mess for Universal with all that Harry Potter stuff, dude. That would be a nightmare for them. But I realistically, I don't think Disney's gonna even make a move on it. I really don't.
No, and honestly too, like, going theme park wise, I think Universal has the upper hand on making some of these, IPs, like, real, you know? Like, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
Disney does a great job, but I think Disney has its own realm that they need to stay in,
right.
versus Game of Thrones or anything like that. I just don't think they would execute as well, especially coming off of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
No, it is. It's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. It's one of my favorite things that Universal has ever done. It really is. I mean, I'm not even a big Potter guy. I feel like I'm kind of like my generation isn't really Potter. Like I was kind of like older when Potter came out, but I respect the franchise. I think it's a really, really creative franchise. And I
Mhm.
like what they did with the lands a lot. So it's pretty cool. But Mr. Candy Camper, it is always awesome having you on the show, brother. We'll have you on again very, very soon. If
Of
you can
course.
remind everybody where they can find you on social media, sir.
Yeah, so you can find me the Candy Camper on YouTube, the Candy Camper over on TikTok, the Candy Camper Theme Park Thoughts on YouTube, and same thing over on TikTok.
There he is. I'll be linking all of that down below. Make sure you follow and subscribe to him. Thank you, Camper. Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of OG55. Comment down below with all your thoughts on everything we discussed today: the third park, Westcott, Fox, WB, Comcast possibly buying them. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, see you later. Thank you so much for watching this episode of OG55. And before we get out of here, I want to share two friends of the channel. We have the one, the only, the lovely Miss Mimi Fan. If you're looking for great food in the LA or OC area, whether it's Korean barbecue, boba places, Vietnamese food, or just fun places to go, Mimi Fan has you covered. So make sure you check her out. She's on Instagram and she's also on YouTube. I'll be linking her information down below. She's a friend of the channel. We love Mimi Fan. Big fans of Mimi Fan here at OG55. We also have another friend of the channel, Jared from Capture the Magic. Okay, you've seen Jared on the show many, many, many times. He has a really, really cool nerdy t-shirt store like this one right here. I mean, it's spooky season, so you can get a Jack Skellington pumpkin ale shirt. He's got Super Nintendo, Epic Universe, Disney World stuff, all kinds of anything nerdy is in this shop. Link down below. If you use promo code OG55, you'll get 10% on your order. So make sure you check it out and make sure you use OG55. So we have the lovely Mimi Fan. Her information is down below. We also have Jared from Capture the Magic support. Mimi and Jared, like I said, they are family here at OG55, and we support our family. And until the next time, see you later.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.